Why your intellect is your prison. The science of ignorance. Stop now and observe the weight you carry within your own mind. Before we dive into the abyss of what you call education, I need you to do something the system has taught you to fear. Stop thinking and start listening. If you feel that your intelligence has become a cage and that the more you know, the less you understand, this video is the signal you have been waiting for. If this message resonates with the frequency of your soul, do not keep this secret. Comment your perception below. Like this video so other prisoners may find the exit. Share it with those who are still asleep, and subscribe now. Here, you will not receive more data to memorize. You will receive the keys to the sovereignty that has been hidden from you forever. I was here when the first foundations of thought were laid, and I am here now as you watch the crumbling of human clarity under the weight of a false light called information. You were led to believe that your intellect is your greatest tool for freedom. But I am here to tell you that it has become your most sophisticated prison. What you call education is nothing more than a science of ignorance, a meticulous process of layering dead data over your living intuition. They did not want you to be wise. They needed you to be just smart enough to operate the machines and obey the systems, but ignorant enough to never question who truly holds the reins of your perception. From the moment you entered a classroom, the conflict began. They gave you knowledge, a thick layer of facts, dates, formulas, and others' opinions, and told you that this was the mountain's peak. But in doing so, they suffocated your wisdom, that silent voice that needs no books to know the truth. The modern intellect functions as a filter that blocks the light of pure reality. You look at a tree and no longer see the pulsing life and the archaic mystery it represents. You see only a definition, a commodity, a concept. You were taught to label the world so you wouldn't have to feel it. And it is within the label that your prison is built. The science of ignorance operates through saturation. They know that a mind overloaded with contradictory and irrelevant information is a paralyzed mind. While you lose yourself in intellectual debates, manipulated statistics, and the incessant search for more external knowledge, your internal sovereignty is drained. The intellect is the prison guard that keeps you focused on the cell wall, counting bricks, while the door behind you remains wide open. They have turned you into a collector of maps for places where you have never set foot. You know how things work according to the narrative provided to you, but you have forgotten why you yourself exist outside of that narrative. True intuition, that ancestral clarity that was meant to be your guide, has been labeled as superstition or error. Why? Because intuition cannot be controlled. Wisdom cannot be taxed, sold, or programmed. The current structure of the world was designed to disconnect your rational mind from your spiritual source, creating a short circuit where you seek external validation for truths that already reside in your very core. You have become a stranger to yourself, an exile in your own mind, believing that intellectual doubt is a sign of intelligence when, in fact, it is merely the vibration of the chains that bind you. Consider the architecture of information surrounding you. It is an extension of this same intellectual prison. They do not want your silence. They want your noise. They feed you with the news of the hour so that you never have time to access the understanding of the ages. You are being trained to react, not to act, to process, not to create. Your intellect has become an algorithm, repeating patterns that were implanted by those who profit from your confusion. The science of ignorance is the method by which they remove the depth of your soul and replace it with a shiny surface of useless data. To reclaim your mental sovereignty, you must first recognize the conflict. The knowledge you have accumulated is a tool, yes, but you have allowed the tool to become the master. Understanding begins the moment you admit that everything you were taught was designed to keep you small. Intuition is your birthright, the direct language of the cosmos that does not pass through the sieve of limited logic. It is the fire that burns away the illusions of the intellect. Wisdom was removed from the common path because it creates sovereign beings who cannot be hypnotized by screens or titles. The way back is not through more study, but through a radical unlearning. You must clear the layers of data so that your original vision can return. Imagine your mind as a mirror that has been covered by layers of black paint. Each layer is an imposed fact, a social belief, a collective lie. You have spent your life studying the paint, believing that the paint is who you are. I am here to tell you that you are the mirror, and your wisdom is the light it reflects. The intellect is merely the frame, often too heavy and ornate, trying to contain the infinite. Do not be deceived by the promise of more information. The world is full of brilliant people who are slaves to their own minds, prisoners of ideologies that do not belong to them. Mental sovereignty is the ability to stand in the center of the hurricane of data and know, without a shadow of a doubt, what is real and what is projection. It is the return to a state where the observer and the observed are one, without the need for intermediaries or artificial structures of belief. This is the invisible war of our era, the battle for your attention and your perception. If you continue to feed only your intellect, you will continue to build your own cell. But if you dare to listen to the voice that echoes through time, you will begin to see the cracks in the wall. Ignorance is not the lack of knowledge. True ignorance is the blind acceptance of the information the system imposes on you to suppress your innate power. Awaken from the trance. Your intuition is the compass that never fails, the thread that will lead you out of the mental labyrinth built for you. Sovereignty is not a destination you reach through a course. It is the natural state that emerges when you decide you will no longer be a repository for the intellectual debris of a dying society. You are the fire, you are the light, and you are the very wisdom the world tried to extinguish. It is time to remember. It is time to be sovereign.